Oh, hey girls, I'm Sian and this is our very special guest for today. This is Belinda Kirkpatrick and she is a very, very impressive naturopath and nutritionist. Yes, good, perfect. Who has written an awesome book. It's called Healthy Hormones and it's a practical guide to balancing your hormones. And that at BUF is something that we are very, very passionate about, teaching women about their hormones. So we thought we'd bring her in today and have a little bit of a chat so that we can share some awesome information with you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Amazing. So first thing,
yes.
Let's hear a little bit about you in terms of what got you into healthy hormones and into sort of researching all that. Was there something personal that happened or was it more from a professional sort of perspective?
Yeah, good question. A little bit of both. I think so many people now have their kind of big health story kind of behind their sort of inspiration. I fell pregnant in my naturopathy degree, so basically became my own guinea pig on pregnancy and on all that kind of stuff. So I guess by the time I finished my degree, I'd had 2 children, and so yeah, I know,
super
crazy, yeah. And so everything kind of became about hormones and pregnancy and babies and all that kind of stuff. So it really became kind of like a bit of a special interest for me. My naturopath at the time, one of my amazing mentors, was really into kind of like fertility and kind of like helping people to conceive and looking at miscarriages and things like that. And it really became a major passion of mine. So even though that kind of wasn't my journey, but probably because I was quite young at the time, that's where it sort of all kind of came from, and then sort of, went from there. And I love helping people understand their hormones, understand their cycle, because I think most of us had a really big chunk of education missing from the period talk at school, where the boys would go out, we'd learn what would happen, what a tampon did in a glass of water, and then it was like, goodbye, time, off you go now into the big wide world. So
true, it was like this half-hour chat, and we all were meant to remember everything from that moment.
It's mentally scarring, but also didn't cover enough.
So, why do you think this topic is so important?
Look, it affects all of us, right? So, we all kind of, going through this as women, particularly on this kind of like cyclical, hopefully sort of monthly sort of hormonal, sort of cycle that's happening. So whether it's that you're trying to have a baby, whether it's that you're trying to regulate your periods, whether it's that you need more energy, you've got pimples, you're a little bit kind of moody, really the list kind of goes on. And I guess my sort of specialty or focus with the book is reproductive hormones, but you've got to kind of remember that we're also talking about adrenaline and cortisol, and I guess the impact of stress and then how that affects our hormones as well. So, it's really about, for me, feeling your best, optimizing your health, and I guess kind of getting out there that hormones isn't necessarily being hormonal or trying to have a baby. I think it's something that's really important to all of us.
Yeah, and on that sort of topic, what are some common myths that you find that people come and they have these ideas about hormones? Like, what are some myths that you want to debunk today?
Interesting one. Okay, so look, I guess one of them is probably that you're having periods when you're on the pill. So you're not having periods when you're on the pill. You're having withdrawal bleeds when you either stop taking the pill or you're having the sugar pill. I guess I'm very much not anti-pill. There's a place for everything. The way that I work is really integrative. So I think a mixture of medicine when you need it and natural kind of things. It's very kind of complementary for me, not alternative. However, the amount of people that I guess are being put on the pill to regulate their cycle, it doesn't regulate your cycle. It's just band-aiding it up and letting somebody else kind of deal with it later, as in some other medical practitioner, but you're still having those kind of like same issues. It's just pressing pause for a little while. So that's probably a big one. The other one is that having really irregular periods is normal. So it's common, but it's not normal. Period pain, it's common, but it's not normal. So the amount of girls that say to me, oh yeah, my period's really painful, but it's just my period. And it's like, oh, actually, you can have pain-free periods.
Yeah. It exists. And PMS, you can have your period without some PMS.
Correct, exactly. Or it can be really short and it's a really kind of like small and manageable sort of thing that doesn't interfere with sort of daily activities. But, your mood is so kind of governed by your hormones as well. So, it's not sort of just, oh, I'm just like a really moody person. It's like, actually, let's have a look at that and kind of see. And I guess probably the last one that's worth mentioning maybe is that stress is just about in your head and kind of like your mental state. and doesn't really have an impact on your body. And you know, from what we know, it absolutely does. And your environment has an impact on your body and your hormones as well. So, you know, I guess people sort of think of these things. We sort of start to know that we're all kind of like whole and holistic. But, you know, I think people still kind of have a bit of an idea that, I know stress doesn't affect me, I'm not stressed out. But yet they're running around like a crazy person. I mean, like, but in a good way, you know, kicking goals all over the place. And I think we're probably, might even sometimes be guilty of that as well. We just had that conversation about being busy. You know, being busy isn't a mark, isn't a badge of honour. You don't get any prizes for being busy. You know, at the end of the day, nothing great comes from being busy. It's slightly satisfying to tick things off your to-do list.
Ticking it off, but not going too far.
That's right, exactly. And knowing when to kind of have that balance.
100%.
So, yeah, those are things I think are really important.
Yeah, they're great ones. I love that. Another thing is kind of along the lines of, some girls probably are listening to you and might not understand that their hormones are out of balance.
Yeah.
So what would you say are kind of the telltale signs for someone who is listening and you'd be like, have you thought about X, Y, Z?
Yeah.
Because you might be out of balance.
Yeah.
What would you say?
So probably irregular cycles would be probably quite a big one. It might be fatigue, excessive fatigue. It could be fertility issues. Maybe you've been trying for a while and it hasn't kind of been happening. The other one's probably unexplained weight gain and also unexplained weight loss. So it's not always kind of about weight gain, but you know, unexplained kind of, I guess, sort of issues with your metabolism. So energy, I think I mentioned. It can even be your immunity and certainly kind of mood issues as well. I mean, like we said before, because we're sort of so, I guess, governed by hormones, you know, so there's 100 different hormones in the body that act as,
That's amazing.
So we're sort of talking about the reproductive hormones and the stress hormones, I guess, but you know, these things are basically chemical messengers that dictate how our body works. So, you know, there's lots of them to kind of take care of. So it really can be so many kind of different systems. It's not always even period sort of related. It could be, you know, your skin. And I mean, I think probably a lot of people know that. Like, I've got that, you know, sort of hormonal acne or those hormonal breakouts. So all those things are things to look at. Or oily skin.
Yeah, right.
Hair dropping, you know, excessive hair loss in the shower, or you think like, oh, my pillow's always kind of got hair on it.
I lose my hair a lot.
Yeah. It's okay to lose your hair sometimes. I'm talking about where you think like, actually, I'm also noticing that my ponytail's thinner type of hair, not just losing a few
bigger
strands.
ones. Yeah, great. So in terms of balancing your hormones, I know there are many things, and depending on what hormonal imbalance you have, there are probably different things.
That's right.
If you were to give girls like 3 top tips for balancing hormones, what would it be?
Okay. So some tips might have to be rolled into the one so I can get 3 up. The first one would probably be really noticing the impact of sugar and alcohol and caffeine. This is still one tip, sorry. On your cycle. You know, so there's sort of this kind of school of thought going around at the moment that your period is like your monthly report card. And it was Lara Briden that kind of like sort of termed that, and I really love it because, you know, you're like, oh, you know, a lot of girls will say, you know, if they've gone out and had a bit of a kind of like a crazy sort of month, a birthday month or whatever, they will have their period, they'll notice whether it's spotting or pain or headaches or whatever it is. So really try to kind of cut those things out of your diet, but cutting them out by my second point, instead of over focusing on them, which is a little stressful and makes us think a lot about them, is focusing on having my mantra, which is a source of protein, some good fats and something fresh, which should be heaps of vegetables with each meal and snack. And by focusing on what you can have rather than what you can't have, you'll really help to balance your hormones, but it'll also make you think of all the things, what can I do with those foods, rather than like,
I have to cut this out.
Yeah. The third thing that I think is probably really relevant to you guys is training. So, you know, if your period's missing and absent and you're doing loads of cardio sessions and really overtraining, like, that's actually a problem. So we absolutely want you guys to kind of exercise, but it's about being really smart about it depending on what's happening with your period. So if you, for example, kind of have PCOS and you've been properly diagnosed, we might leave the PCOS chat for another time
Oh,
because
yeah,
so
we'll
many
get back to
people,
this. Yeah.
so many people are overdiagnosed with PCOS, and I undiagnose them every single week based on bloods and evidence. But you know, if you do have kind of PCOS or polycystic ovarian syndrome, it's that resistance exercise that you're really wanting to kind of be bumping up. If body weight's low, periods really light, missing or absent, then you really should be sort of pulling back on your cardio. So you know, sort of 30-minute kind of classes, knowing exactly, you know, a little bit more. And if your periods are fine, you can do it. I mean, if everything's fine, you're feeling great, then go for it. You know, kick all those kind of goals. We're talking about, I guess, when there's a problem, knowing to adjust your lifestyle. And number 4, can I have 4?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is managing stress. Now, nobody wants to be told, like, don't be stressed or be stressed about being stressed. I mean, how does that kind of work? You don't want to be stressed about stress. So making sure that maybe you do a walking session a week. I know Libby loves her Sunday.
Well, we talk about like a movement culture, you know. It's good for the soul. Yoga, walking,
slow kind of stuff as well. Deep breathing, 10 slow deep breaths just to reset your kind of nervous system, and trying to spend a little bit of kind of time saying no. I mean, the impact of, I guess, taking action to push your body into that relaxation state can really help with your hormones.
Amazing. Yeah. Wow, this is like a ball of knowledge right here. It's unreal. So where can our lovely girls find this?
Yeah, so the book basically, I guess, has a lot of information. There's 50 recipes, but there's also heaps of information about how to balance your cycles, how to know if you're ovulating, what to eat at different times of the cycle. So there's lots in there. It's available at most bookshops, and it's definitely available online as well, so Amazon, Booktopia, those kinds of places.
Perfect.
And lots of health food shops as well.
Yeah, so we'll put it all in the copy, but this is Belinda Kirkpatrick, so if you need to go and Google her and stalk her on Instagram or whatever, go
You'll
for
find
it.
me.
Perfect. Belinda, thank you so much. This has been
you.
amazing, and we will probably pick her brain another time because this has been amazing. So
Great.
thank
Excellent.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.